You're ungrateful. Get out and never come back. That's what my parents screamed in front of everyone. So, I left. I had nothing. No money. No support. But I didn't argue. I just walked away. What happened next? No one expected. Especially not them. Today, I'm the woman they see on TV. The one they beg to forgive them. But this isn't a revenge story. This is a story about strength, kindness, and a choice I made that changed everything. Before I share my story, tell me, where are you watching from? Drop it in the comments. And if you've ever been told you're not enough, hit that like button. Let's prove them wrong together. I'm Valina, and this is how I rebuilt myself from nothing. It happened faster than I ever imagined. 1 second, I was standing in the living room with a birthday gift in my hands. The next, I was watching my father's finger pointed at the door like it was a loaded gun. You're ungrateful. We've done everything for you, and this is how you repay us, my mother added, arms folded, face flushed. I didn't even say anything back. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just nodded once and walked to the front door without another word. My fingers were trembling as I grabbed the handle, but I wasn't going to let them see me fall apart. Don't ever come back here, Alina, Dad roared. You made your choice. Now go live with it. What was my crime? I told them I didn't want to work at the family business anymore. I wanted to start my own art studio. Nothing dramatic. No betrayal. Just a dream. My dream. But to them, that was disrespect. Entitlement. An insult to everything they'd sacrificed. I walked away with nothing but a duffel bag, $87 in my bank account, and my sketchbook zipped under my arm like it was some kind of shield. I slept on the floor of a co-working space for the first week. Showered at a gym. $8 menu meals. And during the day, I painted canvases, walls, alleyway murals, anything anyone would pay me to touch. The only thing I had more of than pain was fire. And it kept burning. I didn't tell anyone I had nowhere to go. Not the girls who handed me brushes at the street mural job. Not the couple who paid me $40 to repaint the old diner bathroom. Not the woman who asked me, "Why are your eyes always red in the mornings?" I just kept saying, "I'm figuring things out," because admitting I was sleeping under a borrowed desk would make it real. I worked like I had no backup plan because I didn't. And the thing is, something strange happens when you get stripped down to nothing. When your body aches from sleeping on carpet tiles and your fingers are stained with paint that won't scrub off. When your stomach growls at night and all you have is a granola bar and pride. You stop asking if you can do it. You just do. I woke up every morning at 5 a.m., folded the blanket I kept hidden in a tote bag, and walked 3 blocks to the 24/7 gym. I'd pretend to be going in for a workout just so I could sneak a quick shower. Then I'd head back, fresh-faced, and pretend I was some ambitious early bird. No one knew the truth. Except the sketchbook. That book held my hunger, my goals, my truth. I filled every page with plans, layouts for murals, flyers for future art club, logos for a business that didn't exist yet. I called it Firebloom because I wanted to believe something beautiful could grow from pain. Every corner of that book was a seed. Until one night something bloomed. It was 11:47 p.m. I was painting the side of an abandoned bakery downtown, a commission from a local real estate guy who wanted something colorful to distract from the graffiti. I was halfway through a massive phoenix when a voice called from behind me. "You're the girl who did the mural on 6th Street, right?" I turned. A woman in a trench coat, holding an umbrella under the orange glow of the street lamp. Her hair was tied in a loose bun, and her voice had that careful tone of someone who didn't want to scare you. "Yeah," I replied. "That was me. I've been looking for you." My heart skipped. I had no idea who she was. "I work with an interior design firm," she continued, handing me a card. "We're launching a creative co-op. We need an artist with edge. Someone people talk about. I've seen your work. You want me to paint? We want you to lead." I didn't sleep that night. I just stared at that business card. And the next morning, everything changed. 2 weeks later, I walked into a glass building with polished floors and someone at the front desk who offered me sparkling water. They gave me a shared office. a desk with my name on it, a budget to hire assistants, a chance to design an entire space from scratch. I remember calling my old coworker from the family store, the only one who had ever believed in me. Guess what? I whispered, almost afraid to say it out loud. They want my designs, not someone else's. Alina, she said, voice shaking, you did it. But I wasn't done yet. I was just getting started. And soon the whole city would know my name. Especially them. The ones who called me ungrateful. The ones who told me to never come back. 3 months passed. 3 exhausting, breathtaking, unbelievable months. By then, my mural had made the front page of the local paper, not for the artwork, but for the story behind it. A broke, 20-something woman painting alley walls in the middle of the night to survive, and turning it into something people now called visionary. That word made me laugh at first. Me? Visionary? I still ate dinner out of a paper bag. Still wore thrifted shoes with holes in them. But now, when I walked into a room with my paint-stained fingers, people handed me contracts. They called me the girl with fire in her veins. But none of them knew about that night. About the duffel bag. About the front door slamming shut behind me. About the moment my own mother said, "You made your choice. Don't come crying back when it fails." I got the wedding invitation by accident. It was for my cousin Talia, my dad's niece. The family that smiled to my face but whispered behind my back. The ones who never missed a chance to remind me I was the artist, the rebel, the problem. They thought I wouldn't come. And they didn't know what I'd become. I didn't RSVP. I didn't plan revenge. But I did accept a last-minute project from the hotel hosting the wedding. They wanted a full-scale floral installation across the lobby ceiling, hanging blooms, intricate vines, and soft lighting to create what they called a living dreamscape. I designed it in 3 sleepless days. And on the 4th day, as I walked through the grand entrance wearing a hard hat and a clipboard, I saw them. My family. All of them. Standing in gowns and tuxedos, laughing in the chandelier light, feet away from my name, printed in bold on the digital screen. Creative Director, Alina Rowan. I saw the moment my mother read it. Her lips stopped moving. Her smile froze. Her eyes slowly scanned the giant lobby, trying to make sense of the floating garden above her head and the name below it. And then she turned and saw me, wearing paint-splattered boots and a blazer. Clipboard in hand. Staff badge around my neck. Alina, she choked. I gave her a soft nod. Not smug. Not bitter. Just real. Hi, Mom. What are you doing here? She whispered. I built this, I said. This whole thing. You're the decorator? She blinked, confused. The director. Her face paled. Why didn't you tell us? She asked. I wasn't invited. I smiled gently. That moment didn't feel like revenge. It felt like closure. I didn't stay. I didn't crash the wedding. I didn't give a speech or make a scene. I simply walked to the back exit once my crew gave me the final thumbs up. But before I left, I passed by my father. He was seated at a small corner table, fiddling with a drink, scrolling through something on his phone. Then I saw it. My name. On the screen. An article titled, "The Muralist Who Rewrote the Rules of Public Art." And his hand, the one that pointed at me and said, "Get out," was now holding a phone with my face on it. He didn't notice me at first. So I stood there, quiet, still, until he looked up and froze. Alina? Yeah. He blinked, looked me up and down, his mouth open like he wanted to say something, maybe sorry, maybe wow, maybe just my name again. But I didn't wait for him to find the words. Don't worry, Dad. I'm not here to cause trouble. Just doing my job. Alina, he started, but I was already walking. That night, I sat on the roof of my apartment building with a cup of tea in hand. No music. No phone. Just silence. And for the first time, since I walked out with that duffel bag, I let the tears come. Not because I was sad, but because I had survived. Because I hadn't gone back. Because I had made something of myself. And the people who cast me out? They were now guests in my creation. And they didn't even know how to handle it. But I did. And that's when I knew I wasn't just building art. I was building a life. The article went viral. Not overnight. Not in one explosive moment. But slowly, steadily. Shares on Facebook. A repost on a design blog. Then a feature in a podcast titled The Rise of Street Elegance. People started calling me the girl who turned bruises into blossoms. That phrase stuck. I started getting emails, requests, gallery interest, partnership offers. And then the message that made my hands go numb. Subject: invitation to speak, women who build. A global design summit. All expenses paid. They wanted me to speak. Not just show art. Not just hang something on a wall. But stand on a stage and speak. And the part that hit me? The event was taking place in my hometown. In the city I left, alone and crying, 3 years ago. I arrived a week early. I needed time. Time to walk through the city without flinching. To pass the cafe I once got rejected from because I couldn't afford the deposit for an art class. To see the school I once stood outside of, painting in a notebook while other kids went to real college. I stood in front of that school one afternoon, just staring at the windows. And that's when I heard her voice. Alina? I turned. It was Mrs. Herndon, my old art teacher. She hadn't changed much. Still the messy gray bun, the cardigan with mismatched buttons, paint smudged on her shoes. I thought that was you, she said, teary-eyed. You're on everything these days. I've been following your journey. You have? I asked. Since the moment you left. You think people forget, but we don't. She took my hand. You were never ungrateful, sweetheart. You were brave. You just had to go through fire to know it. My throat closed. I hadn't cried in a long time. But right there on that sidewalk, I let it out. And she held me like she used to, as if nothing had changed. As if I was still that girl painting sunflowers on lunchroom walls just to feel seen. 2 nights before the summit, I got another message. From him. Dad. Your cousin told us you'd be speaking at the expo. We didn't know. I swear, we didn't. Can we talk? I stared at that message for over an hour. I didn't reply. But the next day, while I was reviewing stage cues, I saw them. My parents. Standing at the back of the conference room. Not in suits. Not in high-class elegance. Just small. Uncertain. Hands clasped together, like they were holding each other up. And I realized something. They were afraid. Not of me. Not of what I'd become. But of what they'd lost. And I had a choice. I walked over. Slowly. They looked up, startled, unsure whether I'd walk past or stop. Hi, I said, calm. Alina, Mom whispered. We didn't know, Dad added. We thought you were just rebelling. We didn't know you had a plan. I didn't, I replied. But I had a heart. And dreams. And you didn't even try to understand. My voice didn't shake. I didn't yell. But I didn't smile either. I wanted your support. You gave me silence. I needed a roof. You gave me a sidewalk. They looked down. And for the first time in my life, I saw regret in my father's face. Real regret. I'm sorry, he said. Not dramatic. Not perfect. Just 2 quiet words. And somehow that was enough. I'm not the girl you kicked out anymore, I said. But I'm still your daughter. Mom started crying. I don't expect anything from you now, I added. I'm not here for revenge. I just needed you to know. I built this life with the hands you once rejected. And then I turned, walked on stage, and delivered a speech that made half the room cry. But the part that made me cry was the moment I glanced backstage and saw my father, not clapping, not crying, just standing there, hands on his chest, watching, like he'd just realized who I really was all along. And it nearly broke him. I didn't bring them into my life again right away. Forgiveness isn't flipping a switch. But from that day on, I never looked over my shoulder. Because the girl who walked out with nothing was now the woman with everything that mattered. And she chose peace, not because they earned it, but because she did. 3 months after the summit, I opened the doors. Well, technically, there weren't any. That was intentional. Fire bloom, my dream, the one I sketched back when I was sleeping on carpet tiles, was now real. But it wasn't just a gallery. It wasn't just a studio. It was a haven. A space without glass doors or reception desks or velvet ropes. The entrance was wide, open air, lined with community-painted tiles, each one designed by someone who once thought they weren't good enough to be called an artist. And every wall told a story, some in brushstrokes, some in chalk, some in broken mirror mosaics, because sometimes art is about picking up the shattered pieces and saying, "I'm still beautiful." The first person to walk in wasn't a buyer or a blogger. It was a girl, about 16. Hoodie too big, eyes too guarded. She didn't say a word, just stood there, staring at a painting of a woman with tears in one eye and fire in the other. I walked over. "Hey," I said gently. "You okay?"
She didn't speak.
But she pointed at the painting. "Is this you?" I nodded. "Yeah. They said you were homeless once." I was. "And now you own this." "I built this." She stared for a long time, then whispered something so quietly I almost missed it. "I draw sometimes." I smiled. "Wanna show me?" She dug into her backpack, pulled out a crumpled notebook, and opened to a sketch of a girl sitting on a fire escape, surrounded by paper airplanes. It stopped my breath, not because it was perfect, but because it was honest. "You're incredible," I said. She laughed awkwardly. "It's just scribbles. That's how I started." And just like that, I saw it. The moment her shoulders dropped. The way her eyes blinked twice like she was swallowing the lump in her throat. The tiniest seed of belief planting itself. That's when I knew. I hadn't just built a studio. I had broken a cycle. 1 month later, we launched the Fire Bloom Fellowship, a program for young women in shelters, group homes, or out of school, offering free workshops, materials, and small art grants. The only requirement? Tell your story through color. We started with 3 girls, then 15, then 50. By the end of the year, we'd partnered with local schools, community centers, and a nonprofit that helped women escape abusive homes. One day, during a group showcase, someone tapped my shoulder. "You probably don't remember me," the woman said. But I did. It was the manager from the diner where I used to scrub bathrooms at midnight for cash. "I always wondered what happened to you," she said. "This place, it's magic." "No," I said, smiling. "It's healing." And as for my parents, we didn't have a perfect reunion, but they came to the gallery, sat in the back during community nights, didn't speak much, but didn't miss a single event either. My mom started bringing snacks for the girls. My dad fixed a broken chair one afternoon and didn't say a word, just tightened the bolts and nodded at me on the way out. Sometimes that's what apology looks like. Not a speech, but showing up. One night, I stayed late at the studio, surrounded by silence and paint fumes. I opened my old sketchbook, the one I had carried through rain, heartbreak, and hunger. It still smelled like determination. Page after page of dream seeds. And now all of them had bloomed. Except one. The last one. It said, in shaky handwriting, "Build a life you don't want to run away from." I smiled, took a deep breath, and finally added a checkmark next to it.
Done.
Epilogue. I don't tell this story for pity. I tell it because someone out there is standing at a door, bag in hand, being told they're not enough. Maybe it's you. If it is, listen closely. You are not ungrateful. You are not impossible. You are not selfish for wanting something more. You are brave. And somewhere out there, there's a life waiting for you, one you will build. And when they ask how you did it, just smile and say, "I remembered who I was, even when no one else did."